Hi, this is Editor's Take. I'm Sakshi Batra, and with me is Gaurav Chaudhary. He's the Deputy Executive Editor of Moneycontrol, and we are going to be talking about the water crisis that is being faced by several parts of the country. Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for joining in. Now, this is growing as a big concern right now, and probably at a time when situation is soon getting out of control for us. What I want to ask you is that last year, Niti Aayog did point out that India is facing its worst water crisis in its history. Despite that, nothing very seriously was done about it. What is really stopping India?
No, it's about time that we got serious about water, and this has been staring at our face for a very long time. The Niti Aayog actually, if you go by the Niti Aayog report's estimates and findings, the situation is extremely scary. 600 million people suffer from acute water crisis in India. 200,000 people die every year because of water-related crisis, and it's going to get only worse. By 2030, if the situation persists, it's going to could shave off a significant portion of our India's GDP growth and have grave economic consequences as well. So it's about time that we decided to get serious about it, and it's a good thing that the government has decided to launch this scheme to provide piped water supply to all households by 2024 on a mission mode. There seems to be a great degree of urgency, as well as a lot of policy activity that is taking place within the government. We have seen that in the second term, the Narendra Modi government has actually clubbed all water-related ministries into one ministry, which it's called the Jal Shakti Mantralaya.
Yes.
And it has been mandated with the task of piloting this very ambitious project, which will obviously require a lot of support. And from people. I mean, it has to be any kind of project related to water would have to be very participatory in nature. It's one thing is the government's job to provide the infrastructure for pipe water supply to households. But what about, say, for instance, restoration or rejuvenation of local natural water bodies? That depends entirely on people. So community participation is a very big piece of this project. If this project were to be successful, people will have to get involved. And that is why, while the government will come out in policies, and probably there will be a lot of budget allocations that will be made, money will be made available. Unless the people get involved, this may not get fully actualized. But having said that, a beginning has been made. There is now greater awareness, and we expect more awareness to be built in the months and weeks ahead. And as more and more people get involved, as it becomes participatory, the states get involved, communities get involved, then I think we are on the right track.
All right, so the beginning has been made and people will have to participate to make sure that water is conserved in India. But so far we've already had 3 policies, or like the first policy came out 3 decades ago. So what were the big flaws, and if they have worked or not? I wanted to understand all that.
So one of the biggest flaws has been that we probably did not foresee that the rapidity at which urbanization is going to take place in India. And one of the major reasons why groundwater levels have plumbed to such depths is because of urbanization. That is something that we probably should have, or policymakers or town planners should have probably foreseen much before. And people, and there was the lack of community participation, there was lack of awareness, and we probably didn't get our priorities right. So if reservoirs are running dry, if water bodies are running dry, and if we do not have any system of preserving rainwater, groundwater levels will definitely go down. It rains plentifully in India. The summer rains are plentiful in India, apart from a few drought years here and there. Otherwise, the monsoon have been always abundant. And we waste that water. If we waste that water, rivers will definitely run dry, because we have seen situations where even in floodplains, buildings are coming up. And that is something that needs to be seriously looked at. So one, we didn't get our priorities right. 2, we did not anticipate such rapid rise of urban vertical cities. Now cities, as we know, are no longer horizontal cities. So it's very difficult to imagine building another Chandigarh again in a city like Chandigarh and again in India, because those are horizontal cities. But now we are vertical cities. What it means that the population density in a small plot of land has grown manifold compared to, say, 3 decades ago. So in a 1 acre of land, you'll probably see about, say, 1,500 families staying, which was completely unimaginable, say, about 2-3 decades ago. So the verticalization of cities and towns and rapid urbanization has led to serious depletion of groundwater storage. This had This has meant that traditional water bodies like ponds and lakes have dried out,
Yes.
and floodplains continue to be misused. So this has led to all kinds of ecological balances. The biggest thing is here for us to see that we are battling with severely depleting groundwater storage, which means 600 million people are getting affected every year.
Absolutely. And now we are in the budget week, and usually this time around we usually talk about the fiscal math, taxation, GDP growth and populist measures that the budget could be announcing for various sectors of the economy, and water conservation is usually on the back burner. For this time around, I want to understand, can India really aspire for higher growth without taking care of the water crisis?
No, it cannot. And I think if there's a lot of anticipation building around this budget that something big is going to be announced on, say, farming and also on water,
Yeah.
I think that's a very positive thing, because there is some degree of pressure that is also building up on the government to basically take the bull by its horns.
Yeah.
And this is a problem. It's a public health problem. It can snowball into a very serious nationwide public health hazard. We have just seen what's happened in Chennai a couple of days ago, about 10 days ago, and that problem continues to persist. Chennai is not a one-off example. We have seen problems in all major towns and cities, and it is not just about towns and cities. The same problem persists even in villages.
Yeah.
So if the government, if the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in her first budget actually gives primacy to something like water conservation, it basically tells that it demonstrates the government's intent to walk the talk on a problem that is very serious, and it basically sets the priorities right. So like Swachh Bharat, if this mission actually takes place on a far wider scale, I think then recognition of the problem is half the problem solved.
Yeah.
Money will come, and community participation then will get along and give a big push to it. But if the finance minister essentially flags this as one of the government's priority areas, I think half the job is done.
All right, so half the job is done. And what are your really expectations on water and the crisis as well from the budget? You did say that piped water to all will be on government's top agenda for 2022 as well. But in this budget, how much allocation do you think can be given?
So there is talk that the government could actually set aside something like 10,000 crore, and what is being talked about could be a Jal Jeevan mission. The BJP in its manifesto has talked about a mission called Nal Se Jal, that is piped water supply to every household.
Yeah.
But what I also hear is that the government is going. There's an existing NREGA scheme. It's a rural employment guarantee scheme, and the annual budget for that is about 60,000 crore. What the government is expected to do is to set a condition that about 75% of these NREGA funds will have to be used for water-related projects. So what it means is that it basically ensures that government will not have to scurry for extra money to launch a new project of this ambitious kind. So if of 60,000 crore, 75% is set aside, that clearly opens up 45,000 crore of fund for water-related projects. So that is a very good financial innovation if it comes about.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot then, Gaurav, for sharing all that insight with us. Well, it's about time that the government and citizens really focus on the water crisis that is being faced in the country. And there are high expectations from Nirmala Sitharaman's maiden budget speech as well, which will probably focus a lot more on water conservation as well. 10,000 crores is what Gaurav is saying that could be put out as budgetary allocation for water conservation, and a huge amount from the NREGA fund also could be deployed over there as well. But we'll have to wait and watch out for that in the budget speech. For now, thanks a lot for joining us in this edition of Editor's Take, and do stay logged on to moneycontrol.com for more news and updates. Thanks for watching.